I'm 74 years old and my name is James Washington. It's still hard to believe that my own son just lied to me. As an old person, as an electrical engineer who lived a simple life in Charlotte, I thought I had earned some respect. That said, Marcus, last Tuesday he asked me to pay $190,000 for his wedding, but he told me I couldn't go. Between how much the venue, he was so bold as to say, "Be thankful I'm letting you help at the bottom," even though the honeymoon was on him. I did nothing but look at that bill and smile. The next night, I called my financial advisor, my lawyer, and financial advisor helped me close some accounts and talk about words in contracts. Before I continue in the comments, please let me know where you are reading this. Click like and subscribe if you've ever had this, to make someone understand that you can't buy respect. Born and raised in North Carolina during segregation, meant knowing it wasn't what other people thought that gave someone dignity. It came from within. Ruth, my late wife, and I worked hard to make our life together, giving up something. The brick house we live in now has 3 bedrooms, a small garden, and a carport. We saved for years to get it, and making good choices. Ruth died of cancer 5 years ago, so Marcus's change was all on me. During high school and college, he was the kind of son that any dad would be proud of. List of awards: Duke University has a scholarship for engineering students. A nice young man who called every Sunday, but at some point between his goals changed like sand when he got a job and met Ashley. Nicole Ashley Richardson was from Charlotte, NC. There is money that talks softly and uses zip codes to figure out how much something is worth. She did it at family meals, kindly smile and say something in a subtle way about making their life better and meeting the right people. 2 saw my son slowly pick up her words, giving up his own to use hers. The first crack appeared at Ruth's funeral. As Marcus walked in wearing a fancy suit, Ashley spoke softly in his ear about how to make a good first impression, making sure the service is short and classy. When I said that Ruth would have liked her church choir to sing her favorite hymn, Ashley stepped in because I thought it might take too long for some guests. She said that the hymn might go on for too long for some guests. Marcus was with her. 6 months ago, Marcus told everyone at Sunday dinner that they were getting married. Ashley was sad instead of happy right away, began making plans for the wedding, which sounded more like a business deal than a love fest. When I asked about, she said in a casual way that they were planning a private event, which clearly meant the guest list, not letting family members join who didn't match their style. Last month, Courier was the last to insult me. My name wasn't on the list of people invited to the wedding, but Ashley's yoga teacher and personal shopper were. When Marcus stuttered, excuses about not having enough time and people being complicated when he was asked about the oversight, Ashley picked up the phone. "James," she said in that voice people use when they want to explain something. "Simple ideas for kids. Today, we should think about what will happen next, not what happened in the past. You know, is that right? I fully understand. I knew my son had agreed to trade his the backbone to get into a world that would never really accept him. Ashley thought I was a pain because I reminded her of Marcus's roots and didn't look good in pictures. They shared their story on Facebook. But they did something very wrong. They believed that because I was being, even if they left me out, I would still pay for their fantasy. They were haughty, as shown by the bill on my kitchen table. Didn't stop. You can rent a venue, get gourmet food, have a fancy honeymoon, and even have a professional photography package that will keep their love story alive for years to come. They didn't know. This electrical engineer had spent 40 years learning how things work and what happens when you take out the wrong part. They were about to learn that money and respect go together. I was about to change the flow of both streams. There was a tick on my mantel clock, the same rhythm that had kept track of Ruth's last days and Marcus's childhood. Now It would be the most important thing I could ever teach my son about love and use. I turned on my laptop that night and began pulling threads. The first look Harbour View estate was all there was. It had a lot of pictures taken during the golden hour and marble columns, place that charged more to live in. But something interesting was hidden in their requirements for vendors that I found. They asked for 50% deposits that could not be returned and had strict rules about how changes could be made. The next one was Premier Catering. There, with ice sculptures and servers who probably looked like they belonged in a magazine, the gallery held events that looked like spreads from a magazine. I made a day's worth of money in an hour. What caught my attention was how they charge. Net 30 for businesses, for private events, but wire transfers need to be set up 72 hours ahead of time for clients. Then he tried to find pictures of platinum events. There were lots of pictures of pretty people in pretty places on their Instagram feed. It was planned that each shot would get the most attention on social media. But it was their VP thought about the wedding package. You'll get content for social media that no one else can see, and professional editing for publication, working with bloggers who write about lifestyle. This was more than just taking pictures, picture-making this. As I leaned back in my chair, things began to make sense. Marcus and Ashley were not going to get married. They were putting on a play with a script, a stage, and people who were chosen based on how much they would enjoy it. And even though I wasn't allowed to watch, I had to pay for this performance. My phone went off. A message from an unknown caller. If you see this, it's Jonathan from The Best Catering. The last few details of Washington and Richardson's wedding are being worked out. I just wanted to look at your set up a payment plan, since you are the main person they will talk to. Please call me when it suits you, the main person to talk to. Those words burned into my eyes as I looked at them. Marcus sent me more than a bill. He was told to pay the people who came to get the money when payments were late. It was a nerve, it made me gasp. I called the number. If you called Jonathan on the second ring, his voice was full of practiced cheer, of someone who worked every day with rich people. Thanks for calling me back, Mr. Washington. What we're excited about the event in Washington with Richardson. I just need to give that payment a due date. Jonathan, I said in a low voice. Level. I need to be clear about something. I haven't agreed to any charges. You'll need permission in. This is a letter from me. After a moment of silence, someone carefully cleared their throat. I'm sorry, I believed. That person in charge told me you were in charge of the account. Someone in charge made a mistake. Do not take any. I made promises in person. It doesn't happen unless it's written down. After IA's dusk fell, I hung up the phone and felt something I hadn't felt in months. It had been too long. Marcus slipped away, and they couldn't get him back. But it turned out that everyone could talk money. One of them was my son. I went to a new tab in my browser and looked for Damon Turner. It had been years since I'd talked to him. Marcus had known him since middle school and was his best friend. He was the type of kid who ate dinner at our house more often than at his own. Marcus had moved up in business, but Damon picked the small but cute photography building, a company that records real families for real money. It was simple to use his site, clean and simple. There are portrait sessions, small weddings, and sometimes business events. Not very fancy, just good work, from someone who knew pictures should show the real thing, not something fake. I got his number. Before I could change my mind, they called. Pictures of Damon Turner. Hi, Damon. This is James Washington. After a pause, there was real warmth. Dear Mr. Washington, how are you? How are you? Last week I thought about you. I've been doing better. Listen up, I need a please. Marcus is in it. I believed it might be. A few months ago he called and asked me to photograph his wedding. It made him laugh when I told him how much I would charge. He then said they were going with someone who fit their vision better. Not yet. Since then I haven't heard from him. It hurt how quickly and cruel it was. We had thought of Marcus as a second son, and Damon had threw him away because he wasn't worth the money. John, I need your eyes and ears. This wedding is now something Ruth would not have liked it. There's also the matter of getting in touch with my son before he goes away for good. What should I do? You know what to do. These sellers are known to you. Help me understand what I'm paying for. It was a long don't go. When Damon spoke again, his voice changed to sound like someone was on the fence. I've heard that this isn't a wedding, Mr. Washington. It's the first time. Ashley has long been telling people that it's the party for their Charlotte societies coming out. It costs more just for the photography package, more powerful than most people's cars. It hurt to breathe, have a party for coming out. Think of a ball for new brides and grooms. A lot of well-known business people from Charlotte are on the guest list. Everyone who sells is the best kind, the ones that put on events that magazines write about. What this whole thing means is Adam and Ashley have arrived. Where did they end up? You don't seem to belong there. The words were out there, smoke-like. When I closed my eyes, I saw Ruth's face as it looked when Marcus graduated from Duke. The pride, the full faith and hope that we had raised a good man who would do the right thing. Could you help me, Damon? Anyone have any information, vendor schedules, payment plans, or anything else that could help me get ahead? That's not good enough for me. I meet new people. Let me call some people. After we hung up, I went to the mantel and picked up Ruth's picture. Inside it, in her arms, is Marcus, a baby. The two of them look so happy that they don't need any filters or staging. Touched her face with my finger and told her I was sorry for letting our son forget who he was. The phone rang once more. This time Marcus did it. Dad, I think you called the caterer, did I? Why do you make this so hard? We will handle the rest after you sign the contracts. Marcus, can you hear yourself? I told you I couldn't go to your wedding, but now you want me to pay for it. You earned money, said things in my name without asking. Because they weren't rich, you ignored friends who cared about you. Enough. When did you become someone else? We were both quiet for a long time. When he did speak, the voice was little or young. Ashley says you have no idea what we're going through or what we expect. I get it. Just right. You want to buy acceptance from people who will always see you as something fun to do at their dinner parties. You're ready to give up being honest and your family to do it. It's not simple. That's the end of it. You will soon understand the difference between giving someone money to help them reach their goals and giving them money to believe lies, their crazy dreams, and making them come true. He didn't get to say anything because I hung up. It was right away that I called my financial advisor. Robert James Washington wants to talk to you. I need to set up an escrow account that only certain people can access. I want to be able to decide when and how much to pay someone. As I told him about the vendor, I felt the first stirrings. I thought about something I had almost forgotten, how fun it is to set a limit and watch people learn to follow it. Marcus was about to learn that his dad's wallet had his dad's morals in it. The wedding was in 6 weeks. That made me just I had. Time to teach my son the most important thing he will ever know. Being able to buy love or respect is a myth. Family is not like a subscription service. It can't be upgraded or passed down. Outside, it got quiet at night in October. I began to make plans for an education that can't be bought with money. There are definitely things that can go wrong. It got clear in coffee in the morning. I had a book open at my kitchen table. Like when I drew electrical schematics, I used to use yellow legal pads to make lines and stops. There is always a plan. Weak spots. There are spots where the flow can change completely with just the right amount of pressure. Their wedding was put together like a house of cards. It's pretty but not stable. What I had to do was pick the right card to touch. Robert Chen, my financial advisor, was the first person I called. For 15 years, we had worked together. Years, ever since Ruth's illness, taught me how important it is to have someone who knows about money in an emergency. Thanks for writing, James. What can I do to help? It's important for me to open an escrow account with having limits. I want to be able to keep track of every single penny that I pay my vendors, having to do with weddings. Sadly, my son thinks he're free to use my money as they please. He needs to see how contracts work. Robert I laughed. I've seen it before. Kids who believe that their parents' wallets belong to everyone. In what ways do we talk about limits? Basic power for lights, a plan for food, not something to put on the wall. Nothing at all to show off. I won't give it money if it doesn't feed and protect people, not too many. I should be able to do the paperwork. It will be done by the end of the day. You'll decide when and how much to pay them. After that, I called Damon again. He called me last night and told me something that made my blood pressure go up. Mr. Washington, I looked into it. This wedding costs a lot, but that's not all. It's being set up like a press event. Ashley, they hired a publicist to get it written up in lifestyle magazines. They want to call it a modern love story, and as part of a planned campaign, post pictures on social media. A wedding publicist. I squeezed the phone even tighter. What else? There is a 6-month wait list at the venue, but someone had to be moved to make room for Ashley's family. Related things. The catering comes with a bottle of wine that costs more than most people spend on food in a month. They also hired a drone pilot to take pictures from above. A drone for pictures that show the venue and the guests in a dramatic way. Ashley seems to want video that could be used later on for a documentary. I closed my eyes and tensed up. Ruth would have been shocked. In her mind, getting married meant making a promise to live your life, to someone in front of people who cared about you. It seemed like the beginning of a movie. I need you to, Damon, help me out, please. Find out when they will be paid, when the deposits are due, and what will happen if they don't get paid. What will happen if I don't pay on time? I'm going to try it. Most of these high-end sellers are very strict about when they need to ship. Don't pay on time and they'll drop you like a hot potato. Okay, make them tough. Being honest is hard. After we hung up, I picked up my phone. I turned on my laptop and began writing what I thought of as my Declaration of Financial Independence. It was simple, a piece of writing that all lawyers and judges would follow. This is how any money given to the George Washington and Richardson get married. I must first give my permission for all spending before making a promise in writing. Second, my involvement with money means that I being there as the groom's father and taking part. Third, there will be no money for marketing that is just for looks or costs that come with the media. Fourth, if you break these rules, all of your financial obligations are null and void right away. Taz signed all 3 and put one in my safe. People who bought the other 2 would get them by hand, must have known what the new rules were. At 2 sound, my doorbell rang. Through the crack in the door, I saw Ashley standing on my porch. She was on the porch, looking as clean as ever and wearing clothes that cost more than what I spend on groceries every month. She held a manila folder and looked like someone who knew how to use charm and persistence to get what she wanted. I let her in through the door, but I didn't let her stay. James, we should talk to each other. We can talk now. She smiled briefly, but it stayed. This is about Marcus, the wedding, and the family. We need to be able to sit down like grown-ups. Ashley, all the time we've been polite, and you've tried to make me think that being there would be embarrassing. I like to be tall. A little bit of the mask fell off. Hey, I know there have been not understanding. Not a single thing is unclear. I'm not welcome at your wedding, I clearly heard you. You do want my money, though. That's not a mistake. That's an offer for business. She took out the file and pulled out a shiny flyer. Let me show you what we're making. It's not just a wedding, there's a party. Marcus has done a lot of things. The pictures, the guest list, and the place all show the life he's made. 2 quickly looked over the brochure, with all the columns and other details. Harborview Estate looked like a movie set. Gardens that are kept up well. A spot where real people didn't feel like they belonged. Please let me ask you a question. Everywhere, Where do you see love in these pictures, plans, guest lists, and media packages? I'm sorry. Love. Why people marry. What page is it on your brochure? She lost a little more of her calm. We do everything because we love each other. We're happy about our relationship and are the days we'll spend together after this. You like the way you look. There's a difference. You don't get the Marcus's present situation, the people he works with and the chances that come with being seen with them, the right people. There are other people getting married besides us. It has to do with his family, his job, and his future. His family will always be important to him. He thought it was important enough to invite them to his wedding. We were both quiet for a long time. When she spoke again, her voice was sharp in a way I had never heard it before. It's not my intention to be rude, James. To Marcus and I put in a lot of work to make something beautiful and important. Parts that we can't have don't go with the style we made. Parts. Is that really me? Your Ammon who wore coveralls and worked with his hands for 40 years. People who are our friends are lawyers, doctors, and business people. There you should expect a certain level of skill. It was right there, the truth. She had been dancing for 2 years, I wasn't. Because of something I did, I'm not welcome. Because of who I am, I wasn't welcome. He was a black man who had worked hard to get where he was. He didn't ask his family for money. Someone who is there, Marcus, hadn't always been friends with people who spent more on wine than most people do on rent, he told everyone. I want to teach you something about being classy, Ashley. Smart people don't forget about the man who raised them, the groom. Smart people don't send bills to people they have told they can't go to an event. Smart people know that love isn't a business. Her cheeks got red. Okay, you need to be, do you really want to do this? Marcus said it would be tough to work with you. He said you always missed his point. Did he too? Did I tell you that I took out a second mortgage to pay for his school? I gave up my truck to pay for his mom's medical bills. I worked 60-hour weeks to pay the bills, so he could have dreams. That happened a long time ago. That's how love looks like. Not a photo shoot or a list of people who want to meet new people. When you love someone, you give up something without thank you. She put the leaflet back in her bag. I came to add so you can see what we're taking aim at. But if you're going to be mad at the choices, that if you're not the center of attention, you might want to stay home. It might be it. My money will stay where it is, though. It also stays at home. Her eyes became more alert. What does that mean? I pulled out my phone and showed her the email from Robert, confirming that the escrow account has been set up. That means I need to now give my written okay to every vendor on your list before they get any money. It means no money will come into your campaign to get more attention. It means that someone shoots your drone video with someone else's money. That's not possible. I did it now. Mark put my name on the list. The person who signed those contracts is in charge of the money. That lets me choose who gets paid and what not at all. Last but not least, Ashley lost her cool, you mean old man. Did you think about what you were doing? The links we set up, there's nothing I'm destroying. I'm just taking this chance. I'm giving myself rules. If you want to make you can make a way to climb the social ladder if you want to. Don't ask the man you turned down to pay for your aims. Marcus is not going to let this go. He might, but he will still respect me. And I'd rather have respect than ask for forgiveness right now. After going around, she walked back to her car. Like a countdown timer, their heels hit the concrete. As she drove off, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time, months. The joy that comes from having strong and clear boundaries. My phone Marcus called almost right away, and his voice was rough from being so angry. Dad, what did you say to Ashley? She's very mad. I was honest with her. Love doesn't need a campaign. What she wants to do something nice for us. She wants to improve how people see her. There's a difference. And the fact that I worry more about this than anything else, because you can't see it. Why do you make this so hard? We asked by giving, you can help make something beautiful. You asked me for my money belt. I was told I couldn't do it. If you can't, we have more important things to do than plan the wedding if you don't see the problem. Marcus didn't say anything for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was different and low. My dad, I have to choose between you and Ashley. I love both of you. Then do what you say. Now don't treat me like an ATM. Treat me like your dad. What do you need from me? Don't forget who you are. Not the one Ashley, not the person you want to be, but the person your mom and I raised you to be. One more quiet moment. I need to think about it. Okay. Adults look at their options and decide what to do. After he hung up, I went to my kitchen table and looked at the copies of my tax return. One would go to each of those sellers. Tell them that the gravy train now had real rules, outcomes. Darren called back that night with more information. I talked to Mr. America, to a premier catering employee. They are worried about the timetable. There are so many moving parts in this event that they need but Harborview Estate won't let them in until they pay. They have an extra week to get ready. If escrow holds up their deposit, they might have to make the menu smaller. Okay, my son might eat something real instead of giving talks about buildings. One more thing. The photographer Platinum Events does more than just record the wedding. Things are being made for Ashley's brand launch. She would like to use she needs wedding pictures for a blog about her everyday life. When I closed my eyes, my head hurt. Putting up a blog about healthy living, like elevated living or something similar. Ashley shows other women how to live with style and grace because she is the best hostess. The wedding ice is going to be her portfolio for the most part. Do you think you could help me, Damon? Start putting these pictures, conversations, and other proofs of what this wedding has become on paper. I need proof that this was never about love. I'm already working on it, Mr. Washington. If it makes a difference, Sir Mrs., stand up for what's right, and Washington would be proud of you. I walked to the mantel after we hung up and took Ruth's picture. In the evening's soft light, her smile made it look like she knew what was going to happen. They put their faith in me to do it right. I said in a whisper, I'm trying, baby, to the picture. I'm trying to keep our son from turning into someone we wouldn't know. Charlotte went outside to enjoy the night. And I got ready for the kind of fight that happens when two people love each other, won't let you buy it, and you have to earn their respect. It took 5 weeks to plan the wedding. Every day, Marcus put off having to choose between his dad's values and Ashley's goals. His weight cost more as time went on. Things were going to get worse for him in school. There were attacks from many sides on the first morning of the war, which was Wednesday. Marcus made the first call. His voice had the tone of someone who had been through a lot of practice. It's been on my mind what we talked about, Dad. We could try to find some. I put my coffee on the table and sat down in the kitchen chair. Listen to me. What if we do fewer of the things we normally do? Any of the extras? You could skip the drone footage and cut down on the flowers. But we need all of the food, the picture, and the package. Going forward, these things will be useful. When did taking pictures and buying food become ways to make money? You don't understand how I work now. Looks are important. This is where the people who can help my career will be wedding. Making a good first impression is very important. What do you want people to think of you? That you are a man who takes out loans he can't pay back to look good to people who don't know him well. He kept quiet for a moment, and then his voice became angry. I'm able to pay it back. I'm getting a raise, and Ashley is getting a raise next month. We can handle it. What's the deal? Hey, Marcus, what's up? There are chickens that might not hatch that you are counting. Mom and Dad just signed the paper. Please do this for me, my mom, and our family. When Ruth was brought up, it hit like a slap. Do not bring your mother into this. That which you're doing would make Ruth very angry. She had faith in spending less than you earn and being kind to everyone. Even family members who don't fit your new mom would want me to do well. Be good, because your mom would want you to. There was something different. After an hour, Ashley showed up without warning. This time, James, we need to make things right. There's no need to talk about nothing right away. People who sell goods are calling to ask when they will be paid. This is becoming embarrassing. Who is it for? For would you like people to think Marcus's family can't afford his wedding? That's what I want people to think. People in Marcus's family are good. If that makes you feel bad, think about your own values instead of my money. She took out She showed me a screen full of text messages on her phone. Look at this, she told me. The florist, the photographer, the venue. Everyone wants to be sure from the coordinator. Things are getting worse because of you. I read the notes to her behind her back. Though she was polite, I could tell she was getting more and more stressed. Confirmations of payment asked for. Concerns were raised about the time frame. Shops that use clear language, you can smell trouble, but you can't lose clients. Hey Ashley, this isn't a mess. This is being responsible. Businesses need cash to stay open, and each seller should know who their real customers are. But you're letting them do it. The deals have your name on them. The checks had my name on them, filled out forms I never signed. That's a big difference. She lost some of her calm. What do you need? More money, more power, and a bigger say in how things are planned. I need my son back. Someone who known my birthday, called me every Sunday, and didn't treat his dad like a dirty secret. James, you're making things too serious. There is no longer any change between you and Marcus. Things have changed. He used to be interested in. I believe that he no longer answers my calls. Friends of his would come over to meet me. He kept you secret for 6 months. In the past, he was excited when he talked about his future. Now he talks about it like it's a business plan. She frowned as she looked at her phone. It was our Kevin Shaw. Our wedding planner, Kevin Shaw, wants to make plans with all of us this afternoon to talk about money. Marcus found out about him through work, and he only works with a few very important clients. I was alerted by the way she spoke. How separate. It only takes referrals, private and businesslike at the same time. He has planned the weddings of some of Charlotte's most well-known people, loved ones. As soon as Ashley hung up, I called Damon. You need to look into a person named Kevin Shaw. The only way for a wedding planner to get new clients is through word of mouth. Give it to me now. Once more after an hour, Damon called with terrible news. Please understand that Kevin Shaw is not only he helps people show off things they can't really do, because he is a lifestyle facilitator. Get short-term loans from private lenders to help them out. Lenders who are not public are like payday loans for wealthy people. People. Short, interesting terms that are meant to bridge the gap between what people think and what is real. Shaw gets a piece of everything he planned. It made my stomach hurt. Did Marcus borrow money to pay for the wedding? I'm Shaw's job is to help young professionals act like they are wealthy until they can really prove it. What's wrong is that most of them will never be able to afford it. How much do we talk about? Ashley shared a list of vendors with people in town. The list had at least 60,000 to 80,000 names on it. I hung up, and right away Robert Chen was called and told to look into Marcus's credit. I need a full report that includes everything, like what he did recently and anything else. James, I can't do that unless he says it's okay. So call him up and ask him to let you. Tell him that his dad needs to. Find out how much money he has before you promise him anything. I will know everything if he says no. Marcus called me back within an hour. He was very angry and his voice was rough. Dad, why are you looking at my credit? Do you not believe me? Marcus, you need to get men to trust you. It's been a while since you did that. This is rude. I have a good job and a bright future now that I'm an adult. Could you please show me your statements of finances? We didn't talk for a long time. He spoke again, but this time his voice was low or beaten up. Dad, there may be some short-term problems with money. Explain temporary. Kevin set up a short-term loan as a deposit for a vendor. For a wedding this size, this is normal. It's something everyone does. How much? 75,000. I felt like the number hit me hard. Marcus, that's more than some people make all year. Putting money into it, Ashley and her family are very hopeful about the future. What will happen if you don't get the job? What if Ashley doesn't get her raise on time? If the economy goes down, what will you do? Have debts that you can't settle? Dad, you're making things worse. Things will work out. That's what everyone says before they die, whoever lost their money. Kevin Shaw himself called that afternoon to set up a meeting. His voice was soft, and I've heard a lot of talk about someone who is good at fixing problems that cost a lot of money, Mr. Washington. Some people don't understand what vendor authorizations mean. Let's talk about how our payment system works. I'll meet you, but I'll bring my financial person with me. These things must be open and honest, of course. We got together at Shaw's office in the financial district of Charlotte. The space screamed in every way. The furniture in Shaw's house was made of leather. The walls were made of mahogany. And the abstract art cost more than my car. I thought he would be just like that. Well-dressed, well-spoken, and totally at ease around other people. Thanks for coming, Mr. Washington. Just wanted to let you know that your son's money is safe. We tell the truth. To help young professionals make ends meet, we bridge the gap between what they make now and what they will make in the future. Potential to make money. What rate of interest? Shaw's smile was always the same. Our prices are fair prices for the unique services we provide. That's not a reply. Robert leaned. How much does Marcus's loan cost each year, Mr. Shaw? 18%. I almost choked. 18%? Don't you get it? Mr. Washington, this loan is only for a short time. It will last no more than 6 months. And when Marcus is, if he gets the promotion, he'll pay off the loan the normal way. Shaw will be fired if he doesn't get the next job. A smile flashed for a moment. Marcus is going to do great, we are sure. But if we make payment plans that work for everyone, if you're wrong. Robert and I talked about it. It was clear to both of us what that meant. Legal action, asset seizure, credit damage, and everything else that what kids do when they mix up promises and dreams. I need to see the loan, Mr. Shaw, I'm sorry, but those papers are only for Marcus and me to see. The meeting is over and I got up to leave, but Shaw put up his hand. We might be able to reach a deal, Mr. Washington. If you could promise a part of, if Marcus paid his debt, we could change the terms to make them better. Do you want me to co-sign my son's debt? He thinks that supporting his dreams is helping him believe in things that aren't true. Robert and I left without saying anything else. That night, the vendors called in droves. Premier Catering asked if they had been paid, and Harborview Estate needed to know if they had been paid. The deposit had to be confirmed, and Platinum Events Photography needed more information about the contract. Everyone who called was nice. I told each of them that if money didn't come in, services would end. The same thing. Send your bills to my escrow account. In 24 hours, you'll get paid if I agree with the charges. You'll have to find another way to get money if I don't agree with them. Ashley called twice on Friday, and things were getting tough. 3 times Marcus called, and twice Kevin Shaw left a message. They always did the same thing, begged, reasoned, bargained, and then threatened. Dad, you're ruining my life. Ashley's parents are asking questions, and her dad wants to talk to you about what will happen at the wedding. Have you thought about whether or not we can pay our bills? If so, we can with your help. Not the same thing as being able to deal with them. Damon called Friday night to tell me bad news. I talked to someone at Harborview Estate. And they're worried about the Washington-Richardson wedding because the bills aren't paid on time. These people are beginning to make backup plans. What kind of backup plans? Other events are waiting for that to happen. I don't mind if they give the spot to someone else, if the payments don't go through by next Wednesday, to someone else. Marcus might find out that there are real due dates in the real world. Marcus's voice broke with stress as he begged his dad, "Please." It was the most desperate call yet. "I'm just once, please help me out. I'm going to pay you back. Marcus, I've always been there for you. If you didn't have insurance, you had to pay for your own college, car, apartment, and other costs. When was it last? Just once. This is different. How? I'll do something bad if you don't help me now. Everything, Ashley. The wedding, my job, my name, and everything else. If you lose everything, it might not be the worst thing that could happen. It could be the only thing that teaches you, what kind of person you are. After that, there was a deep silence. Marcus spoke again, but his voice was so soft that I could hardly make it out. I didn't think my dad would leave me alone. I'm not leaving you, and I won't change the choices you made without going through with them first. Made without asking me. In what way should I act? Tell Ashley the truth about your money. Don't try to impress people who don't care about you. And don't worry about how much your wedding costs. Enough to let you be who you are. You'll also not be able to. You should have known she wasn't the right woman for you. I sat in the kitchen. I looked at Ruth's picture for a very long time. You have to work really hard to give tough love. You to see someone you care about go through things you could stop. But stopping those things would mean letting the behavior happen that made them happen in the first place. The phone rang once more. This time it was Kevin Shaw, unsure of himself, but not all the time. This is Mr. Washington. We need to talk about Marcus right away. A lot of vendors are saying they might not show up to the event. Marcus then has to decide what to do. Sir, they don't have enough money, so you make them do what you want. That's not right for the young couple. You gave me money, Mr. Shaw. Do not tell me what to do. To show off to people he doesn't know. My son borrowed money for a wedding he can't afford. About being fair. Marcus has some goals that we want to help him reach. He's borrowing money from you to buy a fantasy. Cash. You'll be long gone with your fees when it's time to pay, leaving him with the debt. Dear Mr. Washington, we might be able to come up with a way to pay that works for everyone. This is how I plan to pay. Marcus takes back the loan. He spends less on the wedding and learns how to save money. You find another person to hurt. I hung up and called right away. Tom, I need you to write a letter letting my lawyer know that I am not responsible for any debts he or she has taken on. What's going on, James? What my son wants and what he can afford are two different things. Is able to pay for and what he wants. I don't want to pay for his schooling. Things were getting worse in the war and battle lines were being set. Mark Ashley and Kevin Shaw were ready to fight as they stood on one side. That meant they had to borrow money to reach their goal and left family members who were in the way out. On the other side stood, I only had my beliefs and the money to back them up. There were only 4 weeks until the wedding. There had to be a sacrifice. I only hoped that my son would land on solid ground instead of the house of cards when the time came. Putting time into it. He got a call on Monday morning, telling him that things had changed from it went from being hard to being very important. Kevin Shaw's voice was not as smooth and steady as it used to be. We have Mr. Washington in big trouble. Harborview Estate says they will turn down the venue reservation if they don't get full payment by. You have until Wednesday to pay. After that, you should know where to look for $48,000. Thank you very much, sir. This is bad for both your son and his reputation. Cash. People will talk about Marcus for years after they hear that the Washington-Richardson wedding was cancelled because they didn't pay. I put down my be careful when you put the coffee cup down. Mr. Shaw, are you making threats against me? I want to say something. Charlotte doesn't have as many friends as you might think. People talk. Allow them to talk. Some people might say that Marcus tried to spend more than he had, and his father wouldn't let him. The crazy story. Mr. Washington, I've helped many families in your situation, no matter what. There's always a way to settle things without feeling bad about it. Whose honor are we protecting? Yours, Ashley's. Marcus lost his pride when he borrowed money he couldn't pay back to show off to people who don't care about him. Pay him back to make people who don't care about him like him. Shaw's voice got rougher. I want to help your son. That's not it. You're just trying to keep your commission. That's a big difference. I hung up and called Damon right away. How long does it take to get to Harborview Estate? For 20 minutes. Why? I need to know what's going on. There will be notices, staff meetings, and calls to book other rooms if they're really going to cancel. I'm leaving. After an hour, Damon called again to make sure. Mr. Washington, it is real. The events coordinator was on the phone with another client when I walked by her office. I heard her say October 28th. Paying might not go through, leaving the slot open. That's fine. Marcus needs to learn what vows really mean. In the noon, Ashley called in a hurry. James, Kevin says you're not willing to promise to pay the venue. Do you know what? So what does this mean? It means that what you do has results. It means leaving your friends behind, friends and clients of Marcus's who are supposed to be at this wedding. Ashley has been getting bigger, people who can make or break careers. If we have to send cancellation notices, everyone will laugh at us. Ashley, let me take a look. People who work with and know Marcus should be able to handle money problems, right? They shouldn't respect him for being smart. That's not how the world works. Your world is different. Her voice breaks a little. James, you're destroying everything we've worked for. What you've built is a house of cards, and I'm not going to support it, that's possible. But Marcus won't mind if you borrow money from him. Tuesday was the day I was most excited and most afraid about fighting him. It was funny that Marcus called and wanted to meet at Meridian Park, which is where Ruth and I used to take him to feed ducks when he was little. He was already there, sitting on the same bench where Ruth used to read him stories. He looked 32 years older than he was because he was tired from stress and having to make hard choices. Dad, we need to fix this. I sat next to... I didn't say anything right away because silence can make you hear the truth. Kevin says the place is gone. Ash's mom called this morning to see if we need money because she has been crying for 2 days. What did you tell her? That we were in charge? But we're not, are we? Everything is out of hand. Marcus, when did you stop being honest with me? He looked out at the pond and saw ducks swimming slowly around it. That's when I felt bad about what I had done. What do I feel bad about? Needing help, not being as successful as I said I was, and dating a woman whose family has I have more money than I'll ever have. You thought that borrowing money would fix that. I thought it would give me time to... You have to catch up with the way of life Marcus is trying to live. An absence of something. There was silence for a while. When Marcus spoke again, it was hard to hear him. You don't get why I love her, Dad, but I do. I get wanting to love someone, but I don't get giving up your own happiness to make them happy. She's not asking me to do that. She told you to stay away from your dad, so I guess she wants me to end my life too. She told you to lie about who you are and borrow money that you can't pay back. Marcus sat down and said, I don't know anymore. Then it might be time to find out. That night was the last attack. Ashley called first, then Marcus, and finally Kevin Shaw again. Every call had the same desperate pattern. You begged, talked, threatened, and then attacked. You're a mad old man who doesn't want to see his son. You are hurting Marcus because you are jealous, which proves Ashley right about who you are. People accused me of many things, but I didn't fight them all. Sometimes the truth comes out when you don't fight lies. On Wednesday morning, I finally got the call I had been waiting for. The agent from Harborview was nice but firm. Hi, this is Patricia from Harborview Events. I'm calling to let you know that October 28th is no longer available. If you don't pay by today at 5 p.m., I understand that you will have to wait. Yes, of course. That's how business works. Will the payment come? Not from me, that makes sense. Should I tell the wedding party? It's up to you. My son made it. Marcus called at 3 p.m. and was crying. Dad, I promised to pay you money but haven't yet. What happens is my fault. The event was called off. Ashley is locked in her room and won't come out. Her parents are driving down from Richmond. This is a disaster. Marcus, it's not a disaster. It's just reality setting in. How can you say that? That's because I knew it would happen. You can't build your dreams on borrowed money and expect them to last. What should I do now? Change things for the better, like canceling the loan before it's due. Plan a wedding that you can afford. Only marry Ashley if you love her. Don't do it just because she's pretty. You can connect with other people. If she won't marry me without a big wedding, you'll know what she loved most. I didn't expect to get a call from Damon on Thursday about the relationship. There was a big change when I found something interesting. Mr. Washington, I'm meeting with a real estate agent to talk about condos in the city that cost a lot. She looked at places that cost twice as much as Marcus makes in a year. I felt sick to my stomach. Are you sure? Yesterday I saw her go into Pinnacle Properties, where my cousin works. Ashley has been pre-approved for a mortgage based on the idea that her family makes $300,000 a year. Marcus doesn't make that much. Marcus and his wealthy father-in-law might, though. Everything fit together. Everything became so clear that it hurt. Ashley hadn't just been planning a wedding. She had been planning her whole life. My money bought the better car. The wedding wasn't about love. It was just a down payment on a future I was supposed to have. I called Marcus right away to ask for help. Son, we need to talk in person, right? Dad, I'm done listening to you talk about being responsible with money. This has nothing to do with being good with money. It's about what Ashley really wants for your marriage. The fact that he agreed to come over right away shows that he did believe me. I showed Marcus the pictures Damon had taken when he got there, Ashley walking into Pinnacle Real Estate. Ashley is putting her hands together with a real estate agent. Ashley went to look at condos that Marcus said, I don't get it. But the way he said it made it sound like he was beginning to. That's not all your fiancé has to pay for. She wants me to pay for her whole life. The wedding is just the beginning. What you think it will be. It's the start. Marcus took a long time to look at the pictures. I had never seen such pain in his eyes before he looked up. This has been planned from the start, right? I believe Ashley saw a kid who was doing well, man who used family money to make choices. That's not a nice thing to say about. It's not right to hurt someone. Marcus got up and walked turned around and looked out the window at the small garden that Ruth had planted, and that I was still taking care of, which you get when you carry something that you later find out isn't yours. Dad, what if you're right? If you learn one thing from this, it will be that everything you thought was real was just a trick. Ash will show you're wrong if you think I'm wrong. That was one of the most important lessons I learned before it was too late. Being there for you even when the money runs out. We both needed the test that came on Friday, but neither of us wanted it. I called Ashley and told her the truth. The wedding had to be cancelled because the venue and loan were no longer available, to be slashed back a lot or put off for a long time. Marcus Ashley's answer came quickly. There was no offer to help me figure out how to deal with the stress. The first thing she asked was if you could still get into your escrow account for a smaller venue. Her words meant, maybe we should put everything on hold until we can do it right. What did you tell her? I told her that the wedding would be big if she loved me. Don't worry about it. If she wanted to marry me, we could get married at City Hall with 2 witnesses and everything would be fine. She said that showed I didn't know what marriage was all about, is in terms of social standing. The final blow came. On Saturday morning when Marcus came to he brought an envelope to the house and looked like he had been having a hard time all night. Look at this, Dad. The seating charts for the wedding that didn't happen were in the envelope. I found the guest lists in Ashley's desk while looking for vendor contact information. I had seen guest lists before, but this one was different. It wasn't just names and table assignments on this one. It was a strategic networking diagram. Table 1, Ashley and her parents' country club friends. Table 2 is for Marcus's law firm partners and their wives. Ashley was interested in getting to know 3 local business leaders better. Each table had been carefully chosen to make the most of social, and 4 people could sit at table 7, which was for family events. Marcus's aunt and uncle from Durham, a cousin he didn't know very well, and a note at the bottom that made my blood chill. Father seat TBD, Ashley had treated my presence as if it depended on my money, even at their own wedding, while the contribution issue was being worked out. I told Marcus in a soft voice, look at table 7. It took him a few seconds to figure out what it was before his face turned a kind of, it looks like she wasn't going to let you in unless you paid though. Dad, I'm so sorry. Please don't say sorry to me. Say sorry to you deserve this treatment because you agreed to it. Marcus carefully folded the seating chart and put it back in. I hadn't seen my son without the mask in 2 years. But when he looked at me again, I saw it. Dad, what do I do now? You decide what kind of person you want to be. It will be with or without Ashley, the debt, or the picture she's been trying to sell you to hurt. But growing up always does. There's also the choice of never growing up, and having kids won't save a marriage. Marcus left that afternoon for what he called the most important meeting. Last week, Ashley and I had the most important talk of my life. I hadn't heard from him in 3 days. There was something different about his voice when he finally called, like it was lighter, even though everything had gone wrong. Ashley and I are taking a break. She's going back to Richmond to give things some thought. The wedding is now official, put off indefinitely. How do you feel about that? Are you scared, thankful, relieved, or like I can? The debt is being turned into a personal loan by Kevin, which will let me breathe again for the first time in months, with better terms. I can pay it off in 2 years without hurting anyone else. Marcus, I'm proud of you for what? For making a mess and then cleaning it up before it got too big. The stress that had been building up for months began to fade. Marcus was learning the things that set love apart from business, help apart from support and family, apart from business. It cost a lot to take the lessons, but they were worth it. That morning I was sitting in my kitchen. Peace filled my heart when I saw Ruth's picture that night. It had been a while since I felt that way. It wasn't because everything was fixed, but because people were finally being honest and making choices. Based on what really happened instead of what I wanted to happen. The wedding might not have happened, but my son was getting better. That was more valuable than any event Ashley could have planned. When Marcus changed his mind, the wedding lasted for exactly 48 hours. After that, Damon called with bad news that turned my happiness into something much darker. You need to know something about Ashley, Mr. Washington. I was able to get into the LLC I told you about. It was 6 months ago, right after the engagement. News that Richardson Lifestyle Enterprises filed for bankruptcy. What kind of business is it? It says on paper that it's a lifestyle consulting firm, but the money is coming in from other places. Different things are going on. Large deposits from unknown sources, payments to high-end stores, and transfers that don't make sense for a real business. Damon, explain yourself. What do you mean? I believe Ashley has bought expensive things through this company to hide them from Marcus. They bought jewelry, furniture, designer clothes. Everything was paid for by Richardson Lifestyle Enterprises. The news hit me like a punch in the gut. Ashley hadn't just spent a lot of money on her wedding and hid the expensive life she was living from the man she said she loved him. From what I can see in public records, at least $40,000 has been deposited in the last 6 months, and maybe even more. Where does that money come from? That's what I can't figure out. The deposits aren't happening at regular times. It's been months or even longer. I can't figure out where that money is coming from because deposits don't happen often. It's not family or salary money. It's something else. I hung up the phone and right away I called my lawyer, Tom Harrison, and asked him to check out richardsonlifestyle.companies. Full tax forms, ownership details, and financial activity if you can legally get them. James, what's going on? Last week you were worried about wedding debt, and now you're thinking about businesses. Tom called back 3 hours later with more bad news. The wedding debt was only the beginning. James Richardson Lifestyle told me things about Ashley that made me question everything I thought I knew about her. Ashley Richardson's Social Security number proves that Enterprises is a one-person business, but that the registered address is a cool mailbox service. People rent a business address in South Charlotte when they don't want their real address to be known to the public. In light of that, what do you think about Ashley's actions? What is she doing with this? People shouldn't be able to easily connect her work life to her personal life. That afternoon I made a decision that called Marcus and asked him to come over so we could talk about something that would change. It felt both necessary and pushy. I told my dad everything. He sounded worried on the phone. "What's wrong?" I gave him the business filing papers that Tom had been given. They had Ashley's name on them, along with the strange address, and the Ashley runs a business called Lifestyle Consulting. "Marcus, did you know that Ashley opened a business 6 months ago?" I couldn't remember the company name. It was Richardson Lifestyle Enterprises, and she sent it in. "While you were getting married, Marcus looked at the papers and thought they were written in a different language. Ashley doesn't have her own business. Her only job is with a non-profit. These documents show that she's been running a company that has made at least $40,000 since January. That's not possible. I'm in charge of we split our money, and I'd know if she was moving that much cash around. To pay for the wedding, we opened a joint savings account. She puts money from her salary, and I put money from my bonus. It's been clear. I got a chill that wasn't caused by the October weather. Marcus, when was the last time you really looked at your joint account statements? Ashley checks them every day, so I don't know. Better with details. Check the account online right now." Marcus pulled out his phone and opened the banking app. I saw the look on his face change as he looked through it. "Dad, I see some withdrawals here that I don't know about. They're big ones, 5,000 in August and 8,000 in September. Ashley gave her permission for all of them. For what? The details only say wedding. Marcus, I never told you it was okay to make transfers this big. How much that account should have had $25,000 in it, which is my bonus plus Ashley's." Marcus looked at the current balance and shook his hands a little. "Dad, there's only my kitchen was very quiet. Everyday life went on outside. People in the neighborhood went about their business while cars drove by and dogs barked. My son was learning that he didn't understand why the woman he wanted to marry was using their shared resources in a bad way. Marcus, I believe we need to discover where that cash went. There must be a mistake here. She wouldn't, Ashley. She was unable to. When they want to, some people do things we don't think they can." Mark called his bank for an hour and asked for detailed records of all his transactions. What he found out showed that lying about money was not just used for planning a wedding. "Dad, the cash went to withdrawals of cash and wire transfers. The money was taken out of ATMs all over Charlotte, and wire transfers were sent to Richardson Lifestyle Business. Ashley was moving the money you shared to her own business account. But why? What could she not tell me about what she bought?" The phone rang before I could answer it. Damien it was, and I thought he had found something important because his voice was so excited. "I know where Ashley is, Mr. Washington. Ashley has been going to Cartier downtown for months because a friend of mine works there. My friend thinks it's been at least $30,000 since spring. They always pay cash and buy watches and designer accessories." Ashley explained that everything was bought under the name Richardson Lifestyle Enterprises for business development reasons. Marcus had turned pale while I was talking, so I asked Damon, "Is there anything else?" She has also been shopping at high-end furniture stores instead of wedding registry shops. "What kinds of high-end furniture?" People from sales told her that her consulting office was worth at least $15,000 more. Marcus hung up the phone and looked at it for a while, hoping that it would give him a good answer. "Ashley has been telling me lies about our money, her business, and what? That I didn't see what she was doing with our money makes me feel like a fool. Marcus, I'm sorry. I know this is hard. It's not stupid to trust someone you care about. That's faith." Ashley chose to break that faith. Then my phone rang again. This time it was a different number, but the voice, it was Kevin Shaw, and I knew who it was. There seemed to be a lot of trouble for them. "Washington, we need your help right away. Several vendors have said they will sue us. Marcus's fault for not paying deposits. It's not mine. Sir, your name is on the seller agrees to be financially responsible. You may be legally responsible for unpaid debts. My blood pressure is high, the price went up. I never made any deals with a guarantor. The wedding planner contract has a clause that says that the main person in the family is in charge of paying the vendors. I looked at Marcus, who was listening to. My side of the conversation was getting more and more tense. "Mr. Shaw, please send me copies of all the papers that need my signature on them. I need to see exactly what I agreed to before I sign. Mr. Washington, we need to settle this. As soon as possible, Premier Catering is threatening to file a lien against the Harborview estate, which wants to be paid in full right away. Platinum Events. Photography wants money for cancelled and lost bookings. How much do we need to talk about? It costs about $35,000 to cancel deposits and lose them." We both sat there in shock after I hung up the phone. The wedding that was meant to cost $190,000 but wasn't going to happen, so it would cost money. Ashley has been taking our money, and now the vendors want $35,000 in cash. "Dad, I'm broke. The joint account is empty. Marcus, don't be so angry. Let's take it one problem at a time." I called Tom Harrison right away. "Tom, I need you to look over some contracts with vendors. Kevin Shaw says I owe money for wedding debts. I never agreed to be a guarantor, though. James, email me everything you have. I'll look it over tonight and get back to you. I will call you first thing in the morning." That night, Marcus was looking at Ashley's bank statements at my kitchen table, trying to figure out how far she had gone to lie to him. I began to think about patterns. As I read through Ashley's words and tried to figure out how big her lie was, I began to notice patterns. Ruth used to say that people showed who they really were when they were stressed. Problems made people show what they were really like. Ashley had lied, stolen, and harmed people in public. She had also kept a business secret. Shared accounts were drained. Marcus could have been sued, and she made herself look like the victim of my Marcus dealt with the crisis in a different way. He was brutally honest, deeply sorry, and he knew what would happen and was ready to deal with it. He was learning and becoming the man Ruth and I had tried to raise. He looked up from his bank statements and said, "I owe you an apology that's bigger than words can say." "For what?" "You put Ashley's idea of success ahead of your own. I didn't invite you to my wedding, but I still expect you to pay. Marcus, you don't owe me an explanation for thinking that love could be bought and that family wasn't important. You need to say sorry to yourself and promise that no one will ever treat you this way again." What if I no longer trust my own judgment? What if I'm just bad at figuring out who people are? What if I no longer believe my own judgment? What if I just can't see people for who they really are? Then you'll get better. It costs money to learn, but it's worth it. Tom called the next morning with news that changed the law. "James," he said, "I've looked over every document Kevin Shaw sent. You're not responsible for vendor debts. The wedding planner contract is written in a way that is meant to be hard to understand. That way, people will think they are guarantors when they're not. That way the vendors can't come after me, even though they might want to. They can't because the debts belong to the people who hired the services, Marcus and Ashley. What about the language for the person who will pay the money?" Shaw said it was pure fear. Shaw wants you to not understand the difference between being a contact and being in charge of after getting paid. I felt a wave of relief, and then anger at Shaw's lying attacked me right away. "Tom, can we go after Shaw for trying to cheat us?" "We could, but it might not be a good idea. It's not worth the trouble. The real question is whether Marcus can be held responsible for the whole amount when Ashley was a co-contractor." I made a decision that afternoon that even surprised me. I called Ashley. "James, why are you calling me?" "My son needs to know who you are was going to get married." "I don't get what you mean." Richardson Lifestyle Enterprises had $30,000, and Marcus didn't know that $22,000 was taken out of his joint account to buy jewelry. Should I go on? There was so much silence that I thought she might have hung up. "Ashley, are you there? How did you learn that? Does it matter?" "That's what matters. You've been living two lives with the money you stole from the person who trusted you. I didn't steal anything. That money was meant for our future together, just like the jewelry and fancy furniture were meant for your future together. I get it." In my world, how you look is important. Marcus needed to see that I could make him more important by bankrupting him, by showing him what success looks like. That ended the conversation, because I knew I was talking to someone who actually really believed it was not only okay, but also necessary to lie to keep one's image safe. Marcus made a choice that night. It was okay and even necessary. That's when he changed from a victim to a survivor. Dad, I'll call Kevin Shaw tomorrow to cancel the rest of the vendor contracts. The joint account Ashley and I had is being closed. We need to sign contracts and make plans for how to pay the real cancellation fees. I will file a police report about the unauthorized transfers, and I am sure that the report will be filed. I really want this to end well. Ashley needs to take responsibility for her actions, and I need to stop letting her make bad decisions. Marcus, I'm proud of you, but don't be too proud just yet. I still owe money from 2 years ago, and a lot of work to do, but at least I have a strong base to build on. It was just right that the truth came out. Ashley's house of lies fell down, and Marcus' eyes were opened, and the vendor threats turned out to be empty ones. Now the hard work of rebuilding had to begin, a life based on facts instead of dreams. That night, as I looked at Ruth's picture in my kitchen, too was happy for no reason other than seeing my son choose honesty. It had nothing to do with being right, cost a lot, but the lessons were worth it. 3 weeks after Ashley's birthday, when I found out about the financial lies, I got a call from Marcus that changed everything again, was tired and determined at the same time, in a way I had never heard before. Dad, Ashley is back from Richmond. She says she's going to go through with the wedding. I put down my morning paper and asked, "What wedding?" We got more money, and her parents said they would pay for it if we cut back to something more manageable. She's already booked. The venue is smaller this Saturday. You said, "I need to think about it, Dad." She acts like none of the "we can act like the lies and secret accounts were not true." What do you want to do? What do I want to see? I want to know what kind of person she is when things get tough. Has she changed? Marcus, that could be a risky game if she's just better at hiding things, but I need to be sure before I can move on with my life. That afternoon, Ashley called me right away. With a forced brightness, her voice sounded like someone trying to sell insurance. "James, I wanted to invite you to our wedding this Saturday in person. I know there have been some misunderstandings, but Marcus and I want to start over." "What wedding?" I thought the whole thing was off. "We found a new place to live. A beautiful place in Davidson that is smaller, cheaper, and better for our group of family and close friends." "Friends, how do I fit into this new plan?" "You're Marcus's dad. Of course you are." There was something in her voice that set off my alarms. "Ashley, let me ask you straight out. Do you want me at this wedding?" A pause that went on for too long. "The James family is that doesn't answer my question. Of course we want you to be there." When she hung up, Ty called Damon right away and asked him to check out a place in Davidson that Ashley reserved for this Saturday. "What does your gut tell you?" Ashley is still playing, but the rules have changed. Damon called back 2 hours later with news that backed up what I already thought. "Mr. Washington, there isn't a wedding venue booked in for this Saturday." I called all of the event spaces in town, but none of them were free under Richardson, Washington, or any. Are you sure? Yes, either Ashley isn't telling the truth about the venue, or she is planning something that isn't a wedding. Marcus came to my house that night looking even more lost. "Dad, something is wrong. Ashley keeps changing what Saturday will be like. At first it was a garden party. It was supposed to be outside at first, then inside. Now she says it might be at her parents' house in Richmond." "Marcus, has Ashley shown you any of these pictures?" She shows all of her written agreements for this wedding, including those with vendors, the venue, and anything else. She doesn't want me to worry about the little things because her parents are taking care of everything with the vendors. You should worry more about that, not less. Ashley, Friday night I got the call I had been dreading. This time the mask wasn't on at all. "James, our plans for tomorrow have changed." "What kind of change?" "Marcus, me, my parents, and the officiant, were the only ones at the ceremony. It was very private and cozy. Marcus knows this and doesn't mind. He also knows that after now that everything is over, we need to focus on what's important. Our promise to live together without is that what you call his dad. James, you've said how you feel. Very clear about our relationship. We don't want any bad things to happen on our big day. I hung up the phone and called right away. The first ring was picked up by Marcus. Dad, Ashley just told me you can't make it tomorrow because you're sick. Ashley just told me that you wanted a small ceremony without family, so that's interesting. After that, there was a long pause. Marcus, are you there? She lied to both of us. Her answer was yes. Dad, what should I do? Do what you want, but do it with your... I chose to drive on Saturday morning, even though it seemed risky and important. I would go to Davidson to find out what Ashley had really planned. If there was a wedding, I would go. I was going to find out what game she was really playing. It turned out to be Riverside Gardens. Even though it was in Cornelius, not Davidson, I didn't think to look for it. I found it by Ashley's posts on social media, and a trail of white balloons led me to the party. I parked across the street and watched them from my window. 2 small food trucks, a flower delivery van, and a photographer who wasn't the... She was right when she said Ashley had hired a pricey platinum events crew. It wasn't on a budget. Marcus showed up at 10:30 and looked like he was on his way to a wedding. It was all put together at the last minute, putting him to death. He waited in the parking lot for 5 minutes before going inside. I waited for another 10 minutes. After some thought, I made my choice. I crossed the street and went through the front door of Riverside Gardens like I always do. There were short rows of white chairs, simple flower arrangements, and a small table in the room, arch where vows were likely to be said. There were about 40 people there, and I only knew one of them. Ashley spoke to people as she stood near the door. She was wearing a pretty white dress, but she wasn't wearing the designer dress she had planned to, and her face showed it. This is a great way to show, James, that you are surprised. Angry, smart, and finally forced to be polite. I was shocked. I thought you were sick. I'm fine. I'm excited about my son's wedding. We'll be sure to find you a seat. The guest list was made based on your regrets. Okay, I'll stand up. Mother was with her. It was clear that she had spent her whole life using charm and quiet threats to get what she wanted in social situations. Mr. Washington, how it's great to see you, but I think there might be some confusion about what we have planned for today. I don't see any confusion. I'm here to witness the wedding of my son, of course, but this is a very private event that we've carefully planned. You had planned for a certain number of guests, and the groom's father should have been one of them. Ashley's father came the conversation. A man whose handshake showed he was used to taking charge of situations in a quiet way. Washington, let's talk about this in a calm way outside. I'm being reasonable. I'm a man, his son's wedding. So we chose this event because it fits with our family values. What do you mean by understandings? That I didn't deserve to be invited to the wedding of my own son. At the wedding. Other guests began to stare at the conversation, which caught their attention. There was a fight next to the door, and Ashley's face was red from anger and shame. James, you lied to Marcus when you said I didn't want to go. I'm not making a fuss. You lied when you said he wanted a small ceremony. Now you want me to leave quietly so no one will ask. When Marcus showed up, he was drawn by the questions about why the groom's father wasn't invited, a lot of noise and a group of people by the door. When he saw me, his face showed that he was happy, confused, and something else. Dad, why are you here? I believe it was thank you. Ash said you couldn't come to your wedding, son. Ash said a lot of things, a lot of lies. Marcus looked at me, Ashley, and her parents. It felt like things were coming together right then and there. Do you know if Ashley told my dad he wasn't invited? Marcus, we talked about this. We wanted to not problems, but getting close. We never talked about leaving my dad out. You said he was hard to deal with about money. But being careful with money is not the same thing as being tough. And that's no reason to keep him from his son's wedding. Ashley's peace, Marcus. You need to decide what you want to do. We can do this my way with the people who support either we do it together or we don't do it at all." There was a heavy hush after that. Marcus's life would never be the same again after what they saw in that room. He spoke with a clear, strong voice. "Ashley, he's my dad," he said. "You can't accept him, so you can't accept me either. Don't be silly. This isn't about accepting anyone, living up to our standards, which are the standards of our lives. We want to start a family together, but not without my family." Ashley's mask wasn't just for show-off. That's when everything fell apart. "Marcus, your family is embarrassing. Your dad works in maintenance and doesn't know how the world really works. My friends are doctors, lawyers, and business people. I have friends who are doctors, lawyers, and business people. The people who work for them expect executives to be smart. My dad is a retired electrical engineer who put me through. He paid for my college. He's the nicest person I know. Being good won't get you into the right clubs or matched with the right people. It's possible that we're going to the wrong events and meeting the wrong people. 2 years ago, I hoped my son would have the conversation I saw him have. It wasn't with me, though. It was with himself." In her last thought, Ashley chose what was real, what was important, and what should be kept and thrown away. A last-ditch effort to get things back in order. "Marcus, you can't take it back if you make me look bad in front of my family and friends." "Good," Marcus said in a low voice. "I don't want to talk about this again. Thank you all for coming," he said in a voice that could be heard throughout the room. "There won't be a wedding today because Ashley and I don't agree on some important things. It's better to talk about those things now than after we've promised to keep our word." The silence was painful. She heard her mum make a sound that might have been a gasp or a sob. Her dad looked like a man. Ashley stood still for a moment as she thought about how much it would hurt the family's reputation if they failed in public. Her voice one last time to attack. "Marcus, you'll feel bad about this. You're throwing—" Marcus didn't get angry. "You threw away everything we built together for a man who couldn't even pay for your wedding. I'm giving up on my dream of being with someone who loves me deeply." He walked up to me and, "Dad, do you want to go get lunch?" he asked. "The rest of the day is mine." As we walked to the door, I heard Ashley telling her guests behind us that the wedding had been pushed back. For a family reason, she had to miss the story. She was still in charge of it, though. Marcus pulled over in the parking lot and turned around to look back at Riverside Gardens, where people were leaving. "Did I just make the worst mistake of my life, Dad? Or did you just make the it's not smart? It's scary, it does most of the time." We went to a diner in Charlotte by car where the coffee was good and the servers were nice. While I ate my eggs and bacon, everyone else looked like they hadn't eaten in days. My son is slowly becoming comfortable with himself. "Dad, may I ask you something? You knew Ashley wasn't right for me because she made you feel bad about your past. You don't want me to forget about my family. What if I never find someone who loves me for who I am? Being by yourself is 1,000,000 times better than being with someone who likes the drawing you made." Marcus ate his Charlotte, went about its business on Saturday, and the man who was enjoying his freedom by taking his time with breakfast didn't know was there. I had no idea that my son had just picked honesty over fitting in and family over friends. Truth is more important than status. The wedding was supposed to cost $190,000. You had to pay the same amount for 2 breakfast platters and be strong enough to tell people they're wrong, for love's sake. Giving each other money was the best thing we had ever done. Things started to go wrong right away after the wedding was called off. By Sunday morning, my phone was full of calls from people. I had never met anyone who thought about my son's private life. Ashley's social media was full of vague posts about it. Looked like she was a victim of things she couldn't change because of her posts about family problems and bad relationships. On Sunday, Marcus came over to my house and helped me work in Ruth's garden while we talked about what had passed. His hands did normal things like pulling weeds and cutting off flower stems on their own, and his mind was thinking about other things. He had been making choices for 2 years that he was now beginning to doubt. Dad, Ashley is telling people what are you saying? Ruth had told me she would break up with me if I married her. I looked up from the tomato plants she loved. I knew I was going to marry someone because they wanted me to. Feel bad about my family. How are people responding? Some are happy and some are sad. Others say they never got why I liked Ashley so much, while others think I'm crazy for leaving her. Marcus was quiet for a long time, and his hands were still working in the garden. What do you think? I almost lost myself while trying to be someone I thought was better than me for 2 years. Monday brought news that changed everything. Damon called with the recent things Ashley did look different and were more worrying after hearing this news. I found out yesterday, Mr. Washington, why Ashley was so excited about getting married. The exclusive story had already been sold to Charlotte Lifestyle magazine. From simple beginnings to high, there was supposed to be pictures from the wedding in the article that was due out this month. I sat down. She was going to make money off of their marriage. Things got worse when the magazine paid her. Ashley borrowed $5,000. Some of the money that was supposed to be in the business account but wasn't there. She had a wedding and a media launch for her personal brand planned. Does Marcus know? Not yet. I thought you knew. I showed Marcus the email Damon had sent Charlotte that night when he came over. You should tell him. In a happy note, an editor asked when the wedding photos and final interview for a lifestyle magazine would be ready as their next big story. Marcus read it twice, and his face changed from shock to anger to a kind of, she was going to sell our love story. So, Dad, how do you feel? How did I miss this? How did I not notice that everything about our relationship was being made public? For love of Ashley, you never gave up hope that she could become the woman you thought she could be. She didn't accept herself for who she really was. Who sells their wedding to a magazine without telling them? Do they see their fiancé as someone who can help them with their business? Ashley got a call on Tuesday. She showed up at my door without telling me or inviting me. She looked different, like she was smaller in some way. She didn't feel as strong after what happened over the weekend. James, we need to talk. No, we don't. Please, just 5 minutes. Even though I knew it was a bad idea, I let her into my kitchen for 10 minutes. She sat at the table where Marcus had made his breakfast. In the process of canceling the loan, we learned that she had been lying about money for months. This is where the truth finally came out. It was clear what happened on Saturday, Ashley. You don't need to explain anything because you don't get it. I was under a lot of stress because my parents, friends, and I all had high hopes for the wedding. I couldn't just back out. That's why you planned a fake wedding without the groom's father so you wouldn't lose face. It wasn't a trick. I love Marcus. You love the thought of Marcus, that successful young professional could help you get along with more people. You never loved the man who came with Ashley, lost a little of her calm. Her father was a maintenance worker from a simple family. It's not fair to expect someone to leave their family to see if you agree with them. Really good things in him, but he needs help to get better. Someone who knows what it means to be successful and what it costs. His honesty, his you took money from your loved ones and your sense of self. Stop being so dramatic, are you, Ashley? Shared an account, lied about what you were doing at work, didn't invite his dad to the wedding and sold your love story to a magazine. Magazine without telling him. If that's what success looks like, Marcus should fail. She was quiet for a while. I looked at her arms crossed on my kitchen table for a long time. What should I do? Everyone knows that the wedding was called off. I lose my good name and you gain yours by lying. You say that, but you don't know what my life is like. You're right, thank you, Marcus. I don't understand a world where love is a business and family is something you can throw away. Ashley didn't say anything else, and I never saw her again. But I got away before I could figure it out. A while later, Marcus told me that she had called him several times, and that every time she had said sorry, and then threatened to hurt her family if she didn't do what they wanted. They put the blame on the situation and said things would change if certain conditions were met. Maybe it would hurt his career if he answered every call with the same polite but firm tone. His voice got better and better, knowing the difference between who Ashley really was and who he wanted her to be. On Wednesday, an unexpected guest showed up. Kevin Shaw came to my door and looked tired and desperate. "Mr. George Washington, I need to talk to you about Marcus's debts. Marcus does not owe you any money. Sir, there are still vendor contracts that need to be met. Because of what happened on Saturday, Ashley can pay the cancellation fees that were due. She agreed to pay for the services. Ashley says her parents won't pay for things they say weren't allowed. That sounds like a problem between you and Ashley." Shaw's professional front finally broke. "Mr. Washington, if these debts aren't paid, my business will fail," he said. "The wedding will not happen. I have been paying for the vendors out of my own pocket in the hopes that the wedding will happen. You made a business out of letting people spend more than they have. Mr. Shaw, now you're seeing what happens. When it hit me, you were helping young couples reach their goals while I was trying to help them borrow money to buy fantasies. There's a difference." Shaw left looking like a man who had finally reached his goal. When other people wake up, their dreams don't pay your bills. On Thursday night, Marcus and I had the talk I'd been waiting for since the beginning of this whole thing. It wasn't about Ashley, money, or anything else. He talked about getting married and the kind of man he wanted to be one day, choosing who I want to be. Has been on my mind since you told me that. You should be someone that your mom would be proud of. Someone who is kind, honest, and keeps their word, to be better than he is. You were that person all along. You just forgot for a while. How can I remember? Remember that the people who love you want you to be the best person you can be, not change. Friday brought closure from a place you might not have expected. Charlotte Lifestyle. The magazine called me to say they were pulling the story they had planned about Marcus and Ashley. The editor said the story was too hard to follow. Our readers like love stories that end happily. What will happen to the loan they gave Ashley? That's between Ms. Richardson and me, but I will say this. It's against our contributor agreements to lie about parts of the story. Saturday morning, exactly 1 week after, Marcus was shocked to tell me, "Dad, I got a call from Damon yesterday, after the wedding was called off. Someone wants to hire me to help them grow their business." "What kind of business?" "I do corporate strategy work like this at work, but for small businesses, real people building. Does that sound interesting to you?" "I'm interested in work that has meaning." Damon's help families keep memories instead of making new ones by making something real. I'll keep my job at the law firm for now. On the weekends, I do consulting work. But Dad, I want to build. I'm proud of something. I'm not having to act like someone else. That afternoon, we drove to Ruth's grave. Marcus was on his knees next to the gravestone. It had been too long since he had been there, so I watched. He said, "Mom, I'm sorry I got lost for a while. I forgot what you and my dad taught me what's important." I got down on my knees next to him. "Daughter, and she's happy with the choice you made." We sat there for a while in quiet peace, lost something together, and learned to understand each other better. On Sunday night, as October began to settle in, Marcus helped me make dinner in the kitchen in November, after our relationship had been through its worst time, where it all began with the $190,000 bill. "Dad, may I ask you something? Do you think I'll ever find someone who loves me just the way I am?" "I believe you already have someone who loves you for what you really are." We cooked and told stories together, which is how all good relationships start. Ruth was with me in a way I hadn't felt since she died. A good man we raised was sad or lost for a while, but now he's done. He went astray but found his way back to the things that were important to him. The $190,000 wedding became $80,000 instead. Marcus lost something much more valuable and much less expensive, himself. The lies that kept Marcus from and Ruth would have said that was money well spent. What happened after taught us both that love isn't easy. You can't borrow or buy status or raise your family. These are lessons that bad things happen so you can learn from them. Marcus could build his life around. I didn't have to worry about the person he was. I could be proud of the person he was becoming. Without a doubt, it was the best ending to the worst story ever. Perhaps a new beginning. Marcus and I started new traditions 2 months after the wedding was called off. That felt more real than anything we had talked about in years. Sunday dinners became holy times, just the two of us. As we cooked recipes Ruth had taught us in my kitchen, we talked about everything but what we had lost. When Marcus took the engagement ring back to the store where Ashley had chosen it, the manager was surprisingly understanding and gave them back 60% of the price they paid. Even though the store didn't allow returns, Marcus told me over pot roast and mashed potatoes that he kept thinking he would be sad to give it back. But he wasn't. I was glad to finally give back something that didn't really belong to me. How did that happen? That ring wasn't mine. I was trying to become a version of myself that was smart, successful, and worthy enough for Ashley lived in a world where I didn't want to be that person. The ring had lost its meaning. The cash needed to be sorted. It took longer, but Marcus shut down Richardson Lifestyle Enterprises, which had to be done. They last talked when Ashley signed the papers to end their marriage. Marcus told her that she had signed the papers. They didn't say anything, as if the business was just an easy way to hide purchases. Marcus said that she kept the jewelry. That was always the plan, to get a lot of expensive jewelry that would gain value while someone else paid for them. Does that make you mad? It did for a while. I was mad for a week. But then I realized I was mad because I had been lied to, not because I couldn't get expensive accessories. Became less important when I realized that keeping those things would probably hurt Ashley more than losing them would hurt me. She can't wear the jewelry that cost her thousands of dollars because it makes her think of him, how she got it. Each bracelet and necklace is proof of choices she made that caused her to lose time with. Marcus had also changed how he paid off his debts with Kevin Shaw's replacement, someone who really knew about money and helped young professionals get back on their feet after bad times. Shaw said the payment plan would last for 6 years, but it only lasted 3 years, months, but the terms were clear, and the rate of interest was fair. I don't know why, but paying my own debts feels better than having someone else do them. Father, this is strange. Does it always cost this much? The good kinds of dignity do rebuild itself around shared work instead of shared crisis. On Saturdays, Marcus started helping me with maintenance. In Ruth's garden, they learned the difference between annual and perennial flowers and why some things need to be done a certain way. She said, Mom knew what she was doing with this. Some plants fall over every year, while others have deep roots that stay put. Garden, he said one afternoon as he carefully moved seedlings that Ruth had started before she died in the spring. Every plant has a reason for being there, a time of year, and a connection to everything else. And your mom felt the same way about relationships. She wanted to build something that would last longer than That's why you fought so hard to keep me from marrying Ashley, right? It didn't matter if it lasted or not. I fought because I saw how it was changing you. It didn't matter if it killed you. The way people talked about the cancelled wedding surprised both of us. It looked like Marcus's friends were gone when the fancy parties stopped. But next door were people we barely knew. Mrs. Henderson from down the street asked me to her grandson's birthday party, Marcus said. She had reached out to offer help, understanding, and invitations to less formal events where being real was more important than appearance. Marcus told me that the fact that Mrs. Henderson from down the street asked me to her grandson's birthday party was more important than how I looked. I asked her why, and she said, I thought you'd enjoy seeing a 5-year-old blowout. Did you light the candles? I liked it more than any of Ashley's networking events. Things that happen. A party that doesn't need to be recorded is beautiful in its own way. Ashley told Marcus in a sneaky way not to see some friends, but Marcus got back in touch with them. Damon, of course, but also they were roommates in college and worked as teachers and social workers. A group of people whose lives were not meant to be on Instagram. They called Marcus when they were worried about him on his birthday. Dad, I believe I mixed up success with... It's been so long since I did anything that I forgot how good it feels. How does it feel? Less noise, more such as something you don't want to show other people. As winter came on, Charlotte Marcus made a choice that even I didn't see coming. He put in for a job with it was a non-profit that taught poor families how to handle their money. It's a pay, it was a cut, he said, but the work was important. It was worth it to help other people avoid getting into the same kinds of debt traps I did. They choose what to do based on their values, not their hopes and dreams. I hope Ruth's happy. I want to make something valuable in her eyes. Ashley's death in December was the last piece of the puzzle. Mail was sent to Marcus. A note written by hand on expensive paper that most likely cost a lot of money. Not an email or text message, more than most people spent on lunch. Marcus didn't show it to me because he needed help deciding what to say, but to Marcus it said, "I've had time to think about how important it has become for him to be open and honest. I want you to know that I see things the way you do about what happened between us. I might have forgotten about what was most important to me when I wanted to make something lovely for us both. I hope you're happy with someone who cares about the life you want to make." "Thank you, Ashley," Marcus asked. "What do you think?" I explained that it was a well-written letter that didn't say sorry for anything and didn't take any blame. That sounds like being polite. I also thought that, should I answer? Would you like to? Not at all. That tells me I know everything I need to know about my recovery. Marcus and I ate breakfast together in my kitchen as snow fell outside the windows. Our guests included Damon and his girlfriend, as well as Mrs. Henderson, and giving her grandson a simple, honest, and grateful party would have been something Ruth would have loved. "Dad," Marcus said, rather than spectacle. As we set the table with Ruth's everyday dishes, instead of Ashley would have liked these fine china pieces. "What do you know that I've always known? Real love doesn't need a dress or a light. There's no need for strangers or social media to agree with it. When you chose to be honest over getting praise, you picked the guy your mom raised over the drawing Ashley made. Sometimes the giving someone the strength to let down the wrong people is the best thing you can do for them. Dads shouldn't have to pay for their kids' things, dreams of a child. To show what being honest looks like when the cameras stop rolling and the lights go down. When I looked at my son, I saw someone that Ruth would know. They weren't perfect and had scars, but they were honest in a way that let everything else work. Marcus, your mom would say that was the best Christmas present she could have received. What is that? Seeing her son choose love over use your strength, not your looks, and your family over your style. When our guests showed up, and I knew that the only thing in the house that cost more than anything else was the laughter that no one had to hear. Marcus's best education was also the best education he had ever had. He knew the difference between things that cost money and value-free things, things that make people happy, things that matter, and love that comes with rules and love that comes with promises. The wedding taught us both something that didn't happen, could have given. That honesty, respect, and fun are what make relationships work best. There are people who love you for who you are, where you come from, and how you want to be. And that, as Ruthie's worth more than all of Charlotte's jewelry, they would have said. To show love, you don't need a mask or a spotlight. It doesn't need approval from strangers or social media. When my son picked to be honest, he picked the man his mother raised over the picture his fiancée drew of him. There are times when the best gift you can give someone is, you can help someone be strong enough to let down the wrong people. It's not the dad's job to pay for the kids' dreams, to show what being honest looks like when the cameras stop rolling and the lights go down.